Welcome back to the End of Days Chronicles channel. Lately, we've been discussing a specific place and the events connected to it. However, it's crucial to challenge our comprehension and ascertain the truth before we delve deeper into the topic. As we've done in previous videos, let's start with a simple question. In accordance with the Bible, who is conventionally linked to the construction of the Kaaba in Mecca? Is it A. Isaac, B. Ishmael, C. Jacob, or D. Esau? It appears quite straightforward, doesn't it? The Kaaba, an Arabic term for cube, is a square edifice enveloped in a veil made of silk and cotton. It holds immense importance for Muslims and is regarded as the most sacred shrine in Islam. Situated in Mecca, Saudi Arabia, it serves as the central point of the city. When pilgrims arrive in Mecca, they gather in the courtyard of the Masjid al-Haram, encircling the Kaaba. They then engage in a ritual called circumambulation, where they walk around the Kaaba, aspiring to kiss and touch the black stone embedded in its eastern corner. The origins of the Kaaba are linked to various theories and narratives. So, what is the actual truth? Let's delve deeper into it. Truth number 1. According to Muslim belief, the Kaaba was constructed by Abraham, known as Ibrahim in Islamic tradition, and his son Ishmael. Initially, it is believed to have been a simple rectangular structure without a roof. Later, the Quraysh tribe, who governed Mecca, reconstructed the Kaaba using alternating layers of masonry and wood. They elevated a door above ground level to safeguard the shrine from intruders and floods. When Muhammad was banished from Mecca to Yathrib, later known as Medina, and eventually returned, the Kaaba became the focal point of Muslim worship and pilgrimage. Muhammad is said to have purified the Kaaba of idols upon his triumphant return, restoring it to the monotheistic principles of Abraham. The black stone, believed to have been bestowed upon Abraham by the angel Gabriel, holds great reverence among Muslims. Muslims hold the belief that Ishmael, Abraham's first son, was blessed with the Kaaba, and his descendants were destined to undertake an annual pilgrimage and observe a sacrificial feast at the Kaaba. In the New Testament, Abraham is acknowledged for his faith and obedience to God. However, in Islam, he is revered as a prophet and regarded as the ancestor of the Prophet Muhammad through Ishmael, rather than Isaac. From a religious perspective, Muslims consider Ishmael to be the chosen son of Abraham, while Isaac, though born as a result of God's promise, does not hold the same religious significance. When it comes to Abraham's family, there are disparities between Islamic beliefs and the accounts found in the Bible. The Bible describes Hagar as Sarah's handmaiden, who belonged to Abraham's wife. However, in Islam, Hagar is believed to be Abraham's second wife, and Ishmael's birth is not seen as contrary to God's will. According to Islamic tradition, when Ishmael was born, the angel of the Lord delivered a message to Ishmael's mother, foretelling that he would be a wild donkey of a man, with his hand against everyone and everyone's hand against him. It is said that Ishmael and his mother were eventually sent away, but they were not abandoned in the wilderness. The Quran states that Abraham left them in the desert as a command from God. Subsequently, the angel Gabriel caused a well to spring forth, and an Arabian tribe settled with them due to the availability of water. Abraham returned to the valley when Ishmael was married, and together they completed the construction of the Kaaba. It is of utmost importance to differentiate between truth and misinformation. Concealing the truth can be as harmful as spreading falsehoods. Therefore, it is crucial to approach information with caution when considering the perspectives of individuals from any belief system, including Muslims. Alternative perspective. Another viewpoint on this matter suggests that there are doubts regarding the claim that Abraham never traveled to Mecca. It is noted that there is no explicit mention of the Kaaba or Mecca until the end of the 7th century CE. The narrative regarding Mecca and the Kaaba in Islamic texts was written in the 9th century and is considered by some scholars to be lacking historical accuracy. The absence of concrete evidence supporting the existence of an important city called Mecca in the early 7th century raises questions. While other towns in the region are documented, there is a notable absence of contemporary records and maps mentioning Mecca. Furthermore, the Bible does not describe Abraham visiting a place resembling the Kaaba in present-day Saudi Arabia. Scholars hold two main positions on this matter, each with its own support. The first position, endorsed by Judaism and Christianity, maintains that Abraham's travels were limited to a route from Ur, Mesopotamia to Canaan, and then to Egypt, with no evidence from external sources corroborating a journey T. The second position, embraced by Islam, asserts that Abraham and Ishmael constructed the first Kaaba in Mecca and succeeded in converting the local inhabitants to monotheism. However, it is important to note that there is no independent and verifiable evidence supporting the claim that Mecca, as a significant trade center, existed during that particular period. The first non-Islamic sources mentioning Mecca's existence, or including it on regional maps, date back to the 9th century CE, approximately 15-20 years after Muhammad's presumed birth and upbringing in Mecca. It is essential to consider these differing perspectives and engage in critical analysis when examining historical claims, as the availability of concrete evidence can significantly impact our understanding of events. Alternative perspective. Another perspective to consider is that the absence of mention of the Kaaba in the Bible can be attributed to several factors. Firstly, it is important to recognize that the Bible and the Quran belong to different religious traditions, namely Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. Each of these traditions focuses on distinct aspects of religious history and teachings. While there are shared figures and events between these scriptures, there are significant differences in their narratives and emphasis. Furthermore, variations in religious stories contribute to the absence of the Kaaba in the Bible. The story of Ibrahim, is present in both the Bible and the Quran, but the details and emphasis can differ. The Quran provides additional information about Abraham's construction of the Kaaba, which is not found in the Bible. Regional and cultural differences also play a role in the omission of the Kaaba in the Bible. The Bible primarily focuses on the history and religious traditions of the Israelites and their ancestors, whereas the Kaaba is associated with the Arabian Peninsula. The absence of mention in the Bible could be because the Kaaba was not directly relevant to the narrative and intended audience of the biblical texts. It is crucial to acknowledge that the absence of mention in one religious text does not diminish the significance of a religious site in another tradition. The Kaaba holds immense importance in Islamic tradition and pilgrimage, and its historical connection to Ibrahim is a central belief in Islam. However, within the Christian religion, the focus revolves around Jesus, who was born several hundred years later, and not Abraham, his sons, or any other human figure. Therefore, aspects of Abraham's life that are unrelated to his relationship and covenant with God may have been considered irrelevant for the scriptural purposes of the Bible. The portrayal of Abraham and his family in the Bible serves to create context and a framework for the broader theme of redemption. Alternative perspective. Another viewpoint to consider is that the Kaaba, a sacred structure, houses a revered black stone that holds deep spiritual significance. The origin of this stone is shrouded in mystery, giving rise to various speculations. Many Muslims hold the belief that the stone is a meteorite possessing supernatural powers. The Kaaba is built around this sacred black stone, which is positioned in the eastern corner, approximately 5 feet above the ground. According to Muslim tradition, the Prophet Muhammad kissed the stone, and during the obligatory pilgrimage to the Kaaba, Muslims strive to kiss or touch the black stone. If they are unable to do so, they simply point towards it each time they pass by during their 7-circle journey around the Kaaba. Pilgrims recite a prayer from the Quran in the name of God and affirm His supreme authority each time they pass the black stone. Non-Muslims are strictly prohibited from touching the stone, and for most of the year, the Kaaba is covered in a black cloth. Descriptions of the black stone depict it as a fragmented dark rock, measuring around 2 feet in length. Its surface appears blackish, a characteristic that some attribute to the extensive touching by pilgrims and the application of anointing oils. According to Muslim tradition, the stone was originally white but turned black as it absorbed the sins of humanity in the world. It is considered the oldest mosque on earth and is believed to have been utilized by pagans before the advent of Islam. Islamic tradition maintains that the stone was placed intact into the wall of the Kaaba by the Prophet Muhammad in the year 605 AD. Alternative perspective. Another perspective to consider is that Muslims also hold the belief that the stone in the Kaaba was once a part of the stones from heaven. The origin stories surrounding the stone vary, but they share certain similarities. According to one version, when Adam was expelled from the Garden of Eden due to sin, the black stone was given to him to cleanse his sins and grant him re-entry into heaven. Another belief suggests that the ancient stone was brought from a nearby mountain by the archangel Gabriel. Throughout history, the stone has suffered significant damage. During the Umayyad siege of Mecca in 683 AD, it is said to have been struck and shattered into pieces by a stone fired from a catapult. In 930 AD, it was stolen by a small Shiite sect known as the Karmatians, who took it to their base in Hajar, modern-day Bahrain. The Karmatian leader Abu Tahir al-Karmati placed the black stone in his own mosque in an attempt to divert the Hajj pilgrimage away from Mecca. However, pilgrims continued to revere the spot where the black stone had been, and the fragments were eventually returned. There are even accounts of individuals being killed for attempting to make contact with the stone. In the 11th century, a man allegedly tried to smash it and was instantly killed, causing only slight damage to the stone. According to the Swiss traveler Johann Ludwig Burckhardt, in 1674, someone smeared the black stone with excrement, resulting in anyone who kissed it having a soiled beard. Persians were suspected of being responsible and faced condemnation from other Muslims for many centuries. Today, the stone remains fragmented, estimated to consist of 7 to 15 pieces. These fragments are held together by a silver frame secured with silver nails. Truth number 5. Mecca has not been exclusively for Muslims throughout history. The Kaaba, which was once the chief idol of Mecca, was associated with deities such as Hubal, Tammuz, Semiramis, and Ishtar, who were worshipped by the Egyptians. There is no historical evidence depicting Mecca as a religious place solely for Muslims. It has historically been a gathering place for merchants who brought their respective idols. Although some idols have been removed, the Kaaba itself has housed many idols. At present, there are still 3 wooden pillars inside the Kaaba that are considered objects of worship. Alternative perspective. Another viewpoint to consider is that Muslims engage in acts of reverence towards objects such as stones and wood, despite the teachings found in the Quran. Throughout history, the Kaaba has undergone multiple reconstructions, and the pillars within it continue to hold significance. Muslims partake in the practice of kissing the wall and performing multiple circumambulations, although the true value of these acts is a matter of interpretation. It is worth noting that religion, in some cases, employs force or threats of violence to maintain control over its followers. Additionally, it is true that many individuals who identify as Muslim may not possess the ability to read the Quran and may exhibit indifference towards it. The complexity of their beliefs can make explanation challenging, and they may respond aggressively or violently when questioned, as they lack the necessary knowledge to defend their viewpoints. It is important to approach the topic with sensitivity and avoid making sweeping generalizations about Muslims or Islam. While it is true that there have been instances where individuals who identify as Muslim have been involved in acts of violence, it is crucial to recognize that such actions are not representative of the entire religion or its followers. Acts of beheading, rape, and torture are condemned by the vast majority of Muslims, who adhere to the peaceful teachings and principles of Islam. Regarding the concept of submission in Islam, the term Islam does indeed mean submission, referring to the submission to the will of Allah. Muslims believe in the concept of surrendering oneself to the guidance and teachings of God. However, it is important to note that Islam also emphasizes free will, personal responsibility, and the significance of one's intentions and actions. Comparing the beliefs of Allah in Islam and Jesus in Christianity, it is essential to recognize that these are distinct religious traditions with different theological perspectives. In Islam, Allah is considered the one and only God, transcendent and without equals. Muslims believe in the oneness of Allah and reject the concept of associating partners or offspring with God. On the other hand, Christians believe in the divinity of Jesus, who is seen as God in human form, as an expression of God's love and grace towards humanity. These contrasting beliefs reflect the theological diversity between Islam and Christianity. Alternative perspective. Christians hold the belief that Jesus became a human being in order to save humanity. According to their faith, he endured suffering to bring healing to the wounded and died to offer resurrection to the dead. Through faith, Christians believe that they become part of God's family, being adopted as sons and daughters of God and becoming siblings to Jesus Christ. The community of believers is seen as the bride of Christ and joint heirs with him. Christianity emphasizes the absence of slavery, highlighting the freedom and liberation found in the teachings of the faith. The focus is placed on seeking guidance from God and incorporating His principles into one's life. Regarding the Kaaba, the original structure featured 2 doors and a window. It had a separate entrance and exit, along with a window. However, the current Kaaba has only 1 door and no window. The Kaaba was once adorned with multiple colors before becoming predominantly black. In the past, it was covered in various hues, including green, red, and white. Previously, the Kaaba was accessible to all. It was open twice a week for individuals to enter and pray. However, due to the increasing number of pilgrims, it is now opened only twice a year for dignitaries and exclusive guests. Despite the occurrence of floods, which partially submerged the Kaaba in water, Muslims continued to perform the tawaf, circumambulation around it. The interior of the Kaaba is lined with marble, and the upper walls are covered with a green cloth. Plaques commemorating the rulers who oversaw its renovations are affixed to the walls. It is important to note that there are 2 Kaabas, one visible in Mecca, Saudi Arabia, and another believed to exist in the heavens. Originally, the Kaaba had a rectangular shape, including the semicircular area known as the Hijr Ismail. Due to limited resources, a smaller version of the Kaaba was constructed, and a mud brick wall called the Hijr Ismail was added. The shape has remained unchanged since the time of the Prophet Muhammad, except for a brief period during the reign of Caliph Abdullah ibn Zubayr. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in our next updated videos.